Test two. Ski Club, we have two parcels of property. One is on Dunn Lake Road and the other one is Crown. The total between the two is about 3,800, maybe 950. Permits of tax exemptions, the recommendation here is at 100%.
So the Commissioner Council?
I'm motion 100%. That building is becoming it's one of our only attractions that we have for a lot of different venues. One year we might get snow.
So this is meant for a ski club.
I know.
That's the only, this is more of a cautionary. BC assessment would overlook it. But because of what they're doing to raise money, it's becoming more and more retail kind of activity. I would recommend 100%, but I'm hoping to see it come back and have a ski hill.
And they made money, you'd be happy.
It'd be a different
Yes,
story, for sure.
yeah.
It's that lack of snow that.
You couldn't ignore it.
Yeah.
And
Brad McKenzie? Okay.
No, I'm just gonna second that.
Okay.
And does it put us liable if we, no, okay, I'm all for it.
yeah, no,
Okay, moved and seconded, moved by Council Brad, seconded by Council McKenzie, all those in favor? Passes. You, Councilor said no, she's coming back in. Wow, you've done well. I always forget about that.
Yeah, so.
Is that one, that's been there in the past, I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed fresh this one this year, I
No.
don't remember seeing it before.
and there's.
I had to walk away, I couldn't even hear it.
I think they have a crown lease.
But the names on there, that's fishy.
So you got the motions now?
Yeah, Wayne Sunderland is no longer with us.
I'm caught up to where you are now.
Okay.
So we can share this after.
Sure.
The estate of Wayne Sunderland.
Yeah, I don't know how that's working.
Where are we looking?
Does it run Dunlop?
Yeah, so page 2, page 85. So last registered the name of Randy Bach and
Wayne
Wayne
Sunderland.
Sunderland. I mean, that's a question that can be clarified, but if even in then, it says it's registered, Wayne does not need to be alive for it to still be registered.
It may not have transferred, it may still be in, probate.
Yeah, Randy's.
I think it's still in probate. How much is this one, 1,100?
Well, 1171
Okay.
on there.
I mean, they do provide a section of town that is pretty fantastic. They're trying to build up the children end of things. It's never been provided before.
They do,
They do a good deed
They're
there.
committed.
The family fish day that they provide, they don't make any money. I mean,
If they don't have that, it is a wild west of where people go.
it totally is.
Well, what is
I
that?
like that.
The gun range.
yeah, right.
You're talking about fish. That's what I'm going.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Well, I do too. Same people.
Okay, somebody want to move and second it?
No.
Seconded by Council Matheson, all those in favor?
They're shooting the fish.
In a barrel?
And finally, we have Freshwater Fisheries Society of BC. The value for that one is $4,088.
That one surprised me.
Big chunk of property in a good location.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe that's on riverfront as well.
Yeah, the property is worth $955,000. That's value.
How much is
Why don't-
there?
The government doesn't pay that?
It's a society, freshwater fishery society.
But there isn't a body.
It's not a government. It's not a.
I'm baffled.
A lot of business with the government, but it is not a government.
They have an open fishing pond for anybody who goes fishing.
That is,
It's
Wait,
like,
Good
it is?
education.
I just totally thought it was government owned.
no, the freshwater fishery society is the society that will the governments. And First Nations are there.
where does your income come from?
Yeah.
Membership, archery, and trap shoot program.
That's
Awards benefit.
rifle range.
Oh, sorry.
Throw fish in here.
You're gonna go crazy.
So many
exclamation taxes that you pay on your fishing and hunting licenses will
Yeah.
fund them.
Okay.
And then other
That
grants
goes
donations, so.
local, huh?
So, yeah, so think of it in those terms, yeah, I mean, there, that's actually a good put it, that it actually comes back to right there,
Yeah.
those things that you seem to
All
think
these
go into
fish,
the
they,
ether.
and they, populate all the lakes and all the.
But you see,
lakes.
that's really weird, because to get a fishing license is governmental, yet they don't own,
So
The
no, the
place
government
that needs
doesn't
it.
own it, the government will then grant or send the money to the Freshwater Fishery Society.
okay.
Keeps it at arm's length, the same with the BC Parks License Plate Program, that goes to the BC Park Society. They hold the money, and they actually have a dispensing board that says where those monies
It's like the MRDT for tourism.
go.
wasn't it?
Because, this is why, this is probably the simplest explanation why. Because anything that the government of BC receives as income cannot be targeted to a specific thing, it goes into general revenue.
Right.
And then you have to rely on somebody being completely good and honest and saying exactly that amount of money is gonna come back to fit the non-fishery society if it was a government entity, and that never happens.
You
So,
look at what the problems we have with the park
Yes.
operators.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So,
Okay,
did we vote on this one?
moved by Councilor Matheson, seconded by Councilor Sim, all those in favor?
So the total of this group is $9,216, and the total, all taxes in, $16,588.
So we're making a $16,588 donation for a year.
For
All the
recreation.
people of Clearwater who allow these things to be.
It's pretty good, because those are about even, right? They're close, the two groups.
But I do,
I think you can even take it in terms of employment
Yeah.
for the people that work at those things.
Yeah.
It's all local.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And
so
so a lot of tourists and
we
all.
need to do it.
Reserve, one
Yeah,
more
that's
thing.
great.
One more.
Yeah.
So
Okay, thank
this
you.
is our property, Evergreen Acres Senior Citizens Home Society. It is our largest property value. The property value of this is $6.8 million.
wow.
The municipal portion is $24,156. The all taxes in is $44,694. This property has some affordable housing. They have about 62 units is what I understand. I know the district owns 10. And for this permissive taxes for 62 units. 52 of those units, I understand them to be at lower than market or subsidized rent, and 10 at moderate or market value. So when I phoned BC Assessment and asked what our community's doing with housing permissive tax exemptions, and it's not really that consistent. It's some don't allow the moderate housing to have permissive tax exemptions. Some allow the whole group to have permissive tax exemptions. This is expensive, but it does provide a good value for our community, for the seniors.
How much is this exemption? 44?
Yeah, all in it's 44. Municipal, it's 24,156.
That's all taxes, including schools, whatnot,
Yeah.
at the 44.
So on this one, I wonder if it's not time to have a presentation by Evergreen Acres. And it's just to really understand what's happened with some of their new additions to it. And I would be interested to see is with the new additions, how is that offsetting costs? Is there, I can't really understand it through their financials. If they've reached, you know, in a business and you reach a breaking point and you make more money above that, it is a large portion. And that is, that one's, I think it is, are we at the point where it would be good to hear from them?
I think it's a good idea, because I know that there's people in there that are not low income. But also, they're not allowing people in there that have a lot of money, so is that.
I think there's
We need
also
to have
why it's important, and we'll see it maybe coming up at the next part of the agenda, is that there is a lot of subsidy being given for, entry level. And
housing, at what point do we stop?
Yeah.
at what point? Because, and remember, there were some observations is when that first, housing unit came on with Yellowhead Community Services, it was the intention to move people out of vulnerable living situations. The unintended consequences was they filled. And so there is a balance, and I think as long as community and council understands it and hears from it, and are there financial means, is there room to contribute, given the fact that it's not consistent across the province?
Yeah, I would like to have that conversation with them. You know, I'd still would pass this, for this time, because they're gonna need time to wrap up. If we're gonna start saying to them, we'd like 50% taxation or something along those lines in the future. But, yeah, we're at a point where we now have potentially 2 market housing or low market apartment buildings and this fully maxed out. What happens when they do the next one? What happens when, I mean, they're basically the biggest seniors housing game in town by far.
Oh, my God.
And they're bigger than a lot of communities.
I do wonder, and when do we have to have these submitted by?
So I work back from October 31st. October 31st, I have to have the bylaw read and adopted and issued to BC Assessment. We need to advertise in the paper. It's gonna go in the paper for 2 consecutive weeks. If we change, I might have to run it again, and we might have to come back for an adoption on a special meeting, because we have the 15th is when we would have the adoption right now. We do have some time if you prefer, but not a lot. We can.
It is for 3 years.
If we pass this would go for 3 years, would it not?
Yeah,
Could we make it so that it was just for a year for this particular one?
yeah,
We've done that before.
yes.
And then have them come in and talk to us, and we can talk to them and say, this year, yes, but after that, we don't know.
And the thing for me, sorry, really quickly, and also, if they're done building, then, you know, what the rents or what the society is putting forward things towards, which was the next phase and the next phase and the next phase. There's not a next phase now. So now everything that there is basically, income for rent. Like, there's not a project.
My concern is, and this has been mentioned to me a while back, is that if they're charging fair market value for some of those apartments, are they in competition with local rental market?
Yeah.
And that takes it into a different territory.
Hey,
Councillor
Brad?
I do know that there's 3 funding different pockets, then how they figure out people's rent. So, I would like to see if there was any change to their request, how does that affect the rent? Like, so say we only said half or something like that, I'm just throwing this out there. How would that affect somebody's fair market rent or low income rent? That's what I would like to hear, is if it affects them a big time and they're low income, it would change my decision.
You could always tailor the percentage, Councillor Smith.
So I'm looking, first of all, since they've gone online, their revenue's gone from 427 to 694. But what is interesting is that their water, sewer, and property tax, which they cite, has gone from, let's say, 17,000 to 24.5. I'm not sure why property tax is in there, maybe that's just a line.
Probably
item.
water and sewer
So water and sewer.
usage.
Anyway, they've cited property tax, that's on, so it's not there, it's not been 100%. And so the excess revenues of over expenses is $70,000 a year, so they're not making a ton of money, but it is, do they need to bump up some things? Because we don't even know when they've last had some rent increases, like, we don't know any of the story. And I think for that much money, plus what's coming on board, plus what we know what's coming ahead, I'm uncomfortable for a year until we hear that.
So we want to make that motion for 1 year. Seconded by,
I'll second that.
okay, and then also that we staff to have
Yeah.
A presentation.
Okay.
And is there, just for, because we haven't voted yet, does council want to say that it's 1 year and can we do a friendly motion that if there's a reasonable case, we do it for 3? Or would it come up next
No,
year?
I think
No,
it would
we
have to
just
come
do
back
the
next
2?
Would
So
you
if it-
do next year if we just left it the same?
Yes, so it's,
Okay.
Or
it stays in the cycle of the
Yes.
not-for-profit
Yes,
either.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
okay.
that makes sense. Okay, so there's a motion on the table, it's been moved and seconded, all those in favor? Okay, that passes. Okay, let's turn this meeting, because we got another one.
So I have to
Thank
go
you.
amend the bylaws now.
More discussion, I thought, would-
If I need you, I'll let you know.
yeah.
So
I just,
I can do,
I just don't know why, but this
No,
year
do
I've
it.
had trouble.
If you want it in your office, I
More
can get you
trouble.
something.
Can you
Well-
just check if we're live, please?
it won't take,
Are we live? Please unwise me.
Yes, my Apple Watch says
No, it's off.
that. Yeah.
It's off now.
I've had more trouble going through that this year and looking at the taxes, and how much we're going over, basically. Because we've needed our tax money so much more. in the
Again, for me, it's just demographics and.
last- Yeah, no,
where it is.
and it all makes perfect sense, but I still go,
Because as long as it's
It
sensitive,
is.
I think we just made a very
Oh,
good
it is.
decision for that one. So. Linda has my governance framework. This is my ambition.
okay.
Maybe you'd like it as an ambition, because you really are working on this. And each month, we look a year ahead. And we would
Jason, is
have
BC
it
Transit coming in or are they
where
online? I
it's
believe that's
in
coming in.
place.
Oh, yeah.
So it's marked, so we would know when we're reviewing all of these things.
Yeah.
It's very helpful. I would love to. Excuse me,
Who's
everybody?
they just
Excuse me,
put out
excuse me,
a
can I have your attention?
public statement
Somebody
saying
likes it.
they
Okay,
can
they
bid
care.
on
They don't
what's
care.
where
Thank you.
who's like,
Oh.
There we go.
Just making
Okay.
sure that we have audio. You know you can't hear us, no?
You guys hear us?
We send them a note saying that we're struggling with this. Our system has had an influx of change. It's out for warranty, so we've had to. And we tried Control Alt Delete, and that didn't work either. Next is out the window. So what I'd like to do is, if you could please send them a note, and you can work on the audio. And I think we've got people in the audience, and maybe we can move to our next presentation. CAO Johnson, what do you think about that?
100%.
Okay, that's great. That's what we'll do. Let's proceed.
We do have that.
We have that technology.
Okay. Now it seems to be working.
It does now seem to be working?
They can hear Facebook and YouTube, but I'm not sure why these guys can't hear.
You can restart.
So we're gonna get back to them. We're gonna proceed with Wellsbury Lively Arts, I believe.
So let's take that off the screen.
Okay, just let them know, please.
Moving on to item 17, or 7.2, presentation on Summer Stage of Wellsbury Lively Arts Society. Hello, introduce yourself, Shirley Frost.
Okay. Your worship and members of council, my name is Shirley Frost, and I'm here as Treasurer and past President of the Wellsbury Lively Arts Society to give you a brief report on Summer Stage. I'm not quite sure what you wanted in this report, but I'm just not going to give you facts and figures. A Summer Stage is so much more. Oh, what a night, as Frankie Valli would sing. And as we said at the end of every Thursday evening in July and August, while we packed away our sound and lighting equipment. Summer Stage 2024 started with a bang with Soul Patch, a 6-piece band out of Kamloops, and continued with a variety of bands, giving us great popular songs, to good old bluegrass, to energetic Celtic music, to wonderful Canadian rocks, and many, many original numbers. All the vocals were superb, powerful, dynamic, and sometimes quite emotive. We were also blessed to witness some fantastic musicianship, played on guitars, keyboards, violins, drums, harmonica, saxophone, flute, a triangle, and even a trombone. Absolute pure delight. Many bands evoked toe tapping, some were quietly soothing, and others had some in our audiences dancing the night away, and even rocking on our picnic tables. The whole experience was enhanced by our local artisan vendors and the cars from Cruising Clearwater. A truly magical atmosphere happening in Clearwater with a wonderful family feel. I could go on and on about how wonderful Summer Stage is, but you all have a copy of our report, where I believe a picture says so much more than words can ever say. But I will give you a few facts. Our crowds were on average 305 people. Crowds were much smaller several years ago. A quarter of the crowd were tourists and visitors to Clearwater. Cod Gone Wild attracted over 360 people, and some people heard them paddling on Dutch Lake. And 5 of our audiences were still over 320. The age ranges were from 6-month-old babies who bopped to the rhythm of the songs to couples in their 80s enjoying a walk down memory lane. Families enjoyed the freedom of the LCC field, where children played and mums and dads sat and relaxed, and where friends could meet up for a chat. Such a lovely family affair. There were at least 5 vendor tables each week, offering their wares ranging from beautiful handmade hats, wood carvings, dried fruits and candies, to wonderful almond tarts. Many evenings there was also a community table for the North Thompson Arts Council, the Dr. Helmcombe Hospital Auxiliary, the Skating Club, and the Clearwater Fire Department, along with Chance Breckenridge, our new Fire Smart coordinator. Each week, weather permitting, and there was no rain on our parade, there were over 15 beautiful classic cars from the Clearwater Cruising Club. And from the 3rd evening to the end of summer stage, 566 sundaes, creamsicles, and popsicles were sold. They're not called ice lollies over here. A great treat for young and old. And what made my heart sing was watching the children coming up and counting out their money, sometimes buying a popsicle for a friend or a little sister as well. And each ice cream was sold for $1. We were approached by one of our Year 12 students who said that she loved Summer Stage so much that she wanted to help raise funds for our society. And so for 2 evenings she came and served iced teas and lemonades, all beautifully presented and for donations. And she raised over $250. And at the heart of all this was the music, beautifully delivered by some great artists and performers. And without the bands and the music, none of this would be happening. The bands loved Clearwater. They were surrounded by the mountains, had great support from our tech guys, and the audience are the best. Performers want to be heard and appreciated, and our wonderful Clearwater family do that by the bucketful. And many of our acts come back time and time. They just love playing in Clearwater. Wells Grey Lively Artists is all about live music, and hosting our Thursday evening summer stage gives us all such joy. Live music is so magical, and summer stage is definitely part of that magic. For the very small team who helped make this happen, it is the crowds asking for more, and then even more. It is the grandparents dancing joyfully with their grandkids. It is the groups of tourists who come from the nearby campground drawn by the sound of music. It is the happy vendors returning each week. It is the shiny, almost sparkling, beautiful old cars. It is the children counting out their coins, or the senior couple sharing a strawberry sundae. So all of this and more makes the hard work and commitment so worthwhile. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank a few rather wonderful people, and I'll try and do this quickly, but I do think this should be mentioned. Our booking agent, Linda, and we've already started booking acts for next year. Bob, Patrick and Nick, our tech guys. All the lively arts who came out to set up the gear before the shows, especially those in the extreme heat, and those that stayed to put everything away again. Sandra, who organised the vendors, Ryan, who organised the classic cars, a rather talented photographer, Jeff, Annabelle, who helped with all the advertising each week, my own family, who I volunteered to help with the ice creams, our performers who enjoyed playing, especially those who come back again, and of course our fantastic audiences who gave so generously with their appreciation of live music, their toe tapping, their cheers and their dancing. And last but so very not least, I would like to thank you, your worship, members of the council and the District of Clearwater for your continued financial support of Summer Stage. Your grant pays for all our performance fees. Any donations we receive go directly to our operating costs, insurance, supplies, promoting rentals, etc. And we have a fairly large contingency emergency fund for any major equipment replacements or for that one vital cable lead, so that the show can go on. And of course, the other summer stage expenses. We do continue to look for other funding opportunities to pay our performers and for our operating costs, so that summer stage can continue to grow for Clearwater. We are consciously collating information for those applications. But without your support, the Library Arts would not be able to host summer stage at all. Performers wouldn't be able to come and play here, and Clearwater would lose this wonderful family event. So a great big thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and just off the bat, it was great this year.
It was, wasn't it?
That was fantastic, you know, having the cars there and all the vendors and everything. I've never seen so many happy people just walking around and enjoying themselves, either watching the music or talking to each other. So it was a good show, and the quality of the acts was fantastic this year as well. So, does council have questions? Councillor Sim first, then Councillor Matheson.
So first of all, I'm just going to have to make a correction. You had said that with Lively Arts, this wouldn't have happened, and I'm going to say without Lively Arts, this wouldn't have happened.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I'm here to be nice to you.
No, but there's a great appreciation because it has been a long-term vision. It was certainly stuttered by COVID, and it takes anything about 3 years before it takes roots and starts to grow. So thank you for persevering, for holding that vision, and for all of the volunteers. And in some of those temperatures, it's not easy. And I think that for this year in particular, I am wondering is if the quality of the bands wasn't in relation to the grant that had been afforded for this year, because it was good quality. And coming from the ski hill, and there's been a substantive increase for the costs of musicians. So I wondered about that, which leads into the question of how is this going to continue to be sustained?
Good question. We started talking to one of the acts that I would like to come next year, and it was a lot of money, but I talked nicely to them. And because of this wonderful last year, I'm going to use all that and hopefully use it for applications for other funding. I'm going to be looking at BC Arts Council now because we've had such a successful year. The BC Lottery, which funds, I think, the one in Kamloops. And you think how much they must be getting. But also, I was looking at sponsorship from our local businesses. Hey, tonight's act was for, sponsored by Home Hardware. I won't put them in, or whoever. So, because I know we acknowledge your assistance every single week. So I would like us to see that we actually project and get better and better, rather than...
And I would also suggest approaching TNRD for their grant program as well.
Oh, yes.
Directors Al and he'll probably help you out there.
Yeah.
Is that in the back of the room? It's just how that process works.
It is, yeah.
So supplemental to that is just, I would be very happy outside of council just to work with you on sponsorship and donations in particular.
Yes.
I think that of all the great things, it is your humility that might be also your Achilles heel, because donations are not sought after with great enthusiasm.
Well, if you think I should, I'm sure I could.
Well, I'm just saying that there's a lot of people there, and to have what you provide, I think people would really willingly do, and I'd be really happy to sit with you on that because it's such an important thing. And then lastly on that is I'm wondering if the Thursday nights prove to be easy to attract bands. I know we get a lot of people from the ski who want to come on Tuesdays and Wednesdays because they're en route.
Yes.
And so there's some other flexibility there. So I just share that anyway. It is what you do and what you have provided that you are allowing us to be the Revelstoke.
Yes, and they love coming to us.
Yeah.
We do spoil them. So.
I'm sure you do. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Matheson.
Yeah, I'm just gonna echo Councillor Sim's comments, pretty much covered everything I was gonna ask. But just personally, I would like to thank the Lively Arts community for putting that on.
Yeah.
One of my mandates coming on council was I felt we needed to bring a vibe into the community, and for the first time in my life here, I felt that vibe at those events. And I think it's something that we can build on economically. It could be turned into a destination, maybe work on economic development. I just see nothing but positive future for it. If this momentum keeps up, yeah, I'm really thrilled with it, and you've always got my support 100%.
And I know I've seen all of you at Summer Stage, which was wonderful, so thank you so much. It's lovely. And I will report that back to all the ones that did all the hard work.
Any further questions from council?
Yeah, just quick, yeah, I was able to take my family to 7 of 8 this summer, and seen Shirley and the crew dancing across the grass, and the energy out there, it's great. Councilor Matheson said, just having a vibe, and that's one of it, having live music, it's huge. I got 2 more years here, so I'll collaborate with Councilor Sam and yourselves and the whole group, and anything we can do for the next 2 years as I'm sitting here, for sure.
Brilliant.
You got my support, so.
So thank you. Oh, that's wonderful news. So we have a meeting coming up soon, and I will still be buzzing just to let them all know. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will turn the chair back over to Councilor Sim. I have an understanding that we may have online fixed.
Yep.
If we don't, you can always move on to the Yellowhead presentation.
Oh, hi, welcome. Can you hear us? Oh,
Okay. You can still move on to Yellowhead.
She's not able to hear us. Elise, can you hear us now?
no, no.
If she spoke,
Yeah.
did we hear her?
No, we can't hear you. Can you unmute your mic? No? Okay.
Okay, please text her back.
Oh, she could hear us?
She just did a thumbs up.
She did a thumbs up.
She was asking if we could hear her. She says just a couple second delay between what she can hear.
Oh, I see, it's got the Bluetooth probably has to pick it up, and then she probably hears it in a few seconds.
But it still doesn't help. Elise, but were you?
We
I
can't
hope
hear
we were
her.
able to hear you.
No, we can't hear her.
So, Ms. Campbell, I'm going to let you continue to problem solve this. If you could please communicate with them, that would be great, and we will move on to the next presentation. My other query is if this is just a sound issue or a Teams issue, and if we should be moving to another platform and inviting them in by Zoom. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay, I'll go get the mayor.
I don't think they can.
Oh, what's the next one? Oh, Shelley? It's still Yellowhead.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Okay, well, welcome to Live Autumn Stage. So we're very happy to have Yellowhead Community Services in the house. For anybody who is following along, we are on page 17 to 20 of the agenda, item 7.3. Please join us. And I think our microphone works.
Me.
Who's
Yeah.
presenting for Yellowhead?
I wasn't sure if there was going to be a presentation, wasn't sure.
I am winging it at this point in time.
So then there's 2 of us.
Yeah, welcome to improv.
I think before you is a request, is the zoning amendment regarding the density. of this particular development.
So this is a bylaw to reduce development cost charges, is
And
what's on our.
and that is
agenda.
another component of it as well, too.
Okay, so that's the
So-
one that's in front of us,
Okay?
as well.
Well, then, do you want me to speak to this, Councillor Sim?
That's what I have here, but, we are
Okay.
making things up as we go along, so we can change
Is my
it.
microphone working?
I don't believe you need to use the
Yeah.
microphone.
Yeah, you can speak up.
It's picking up into this one here.
Oh,
So just
okay.
speak loud.
Well, just the brief of this is that we have, we're anticipating beginning phase 2 of the affordable housing project in the spring of next year. Okay? And this development will see us building 33 affordable housing units in accordance with the formula that BC Housing has set out. In phase 1, there were 26 units that were constructed, fully occupied, obviously, and so this is the second phase. In phase 1, we requested of council to waive the development cost charges as well as the connection fees, and that request was granted at that time in 2017, I believe was the timeframe. So we'd be asking the same thing this time as well, to if council could waive those development cost charges and the connection fees. And if anybody has any questions, hopefully I'm in a position to answer.
Is there anything else you want to maybe share about the project? Because this has been a long-awaited project and kind of exciting for the community. And maybe talk about some of the social need that you were experiencing. We've got some references to wait lists. And I think that those are issues that maybe you want to elevate here.
So and you're correct, Councillor Sim, this has been a project that has been in the development stage, if you want to call that, planning stage, for a considerable period of time. If I can maybe start by saying this was a project we had initially intended to develop in Barrie. But over a course of, and the project at that point had fewer units, but of course we had a daycare on the main floor, and we also had offices. We had to terminate that project because there was no infrastructure in the community to support it. So we consulted with BC Housing, and we approached them and said, look, we've done a bunch of work on this. We have architects, we have consultants, we have our construction company, and we would like to move the project to Clearwater. And knowing that at one point we were going to develop the second portion of that property. It's a 1.2 acre property. And when we developed the first phase, we actually had a footprint for the second building as well too, knowing that that could be built. Of course, the bylaw at the time was limiting it to 51 or 53 units. I just don't have those numbers in front of me right now. So we started to look at that development. Just back to one of the questions you had, Councillor Sim, is that we saw a fairly significant wait list for the first unit, the first building, first phase. And the wait list was actually more for single bedroom units as opposed to family units. And so as we began to look at this phase 2, we have more single units in this development. We still have some 2 and 3 bedrooms for families, but we have a lot of single bedrooms. The target population we are looking at is families, seniors, persons with disabilities, and we have a partnership with First Community. And they have sort of first right of access, if you will, to a third of the units. And they very generously gave us their support and endorsement of the project. We would still be, of course, the manager and the gatekeeper, but they are hopeful that many of their band members will be returning to the North Thompson And this housing project will allow them to provide housing when they get here. They do not have a lot of housing in the community to offer to their members. I don't know if there's anything else I could add. The only other I might add is that luckily we were able to keep together a development team that did phase 1, Evergreen Acres, and now phase 2. So that includes D&T Developments, Richard Hunter Architect, our consultant Adcor, and then of course we'll have a number of other engineering and HVAC companies that we'll be contracting with. So that makes it much easier to proceed with having that core unit that we can just go back to and work with. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should touch on. Let me just take a quick look at this letter. Yes, so just back to the affordability and the demand. We think there will be without a doubt no difficulty in renting all the units. The formula is a little bit complex. It's different than the previous BC Housing formula, where we were given a grant up front that was non-repayable, provided that for 35 years we continued to offer affordable housing. Okay, once we met that, then that was considered to have been paid. So that's making sure that we're not going to do anything nefarious by going sideways and just offering market housing. So that was that program. This program has basically 3 components to it. There's a rent geared to income, there's a deep subsidy, and there's market rental. The theory being that the market rental will help subsidize the deep subsidy. And then the rent geared to income is pretty much self-explanatory. It's based on, it's like a co-op model. It's based on percentage of the person's gross family income, total family income. So that's the formula. We are still working with BC Housing around those market rates. They looked at Kamloops rates. We said to them, we don't think that's applicable to this community. And if you look at our rates that we have currently, now we have raised them over the course of the development, but we are still very affordable for 3 bedrooms, 2 and single, and we had some bachelors in that development. But our 3 bedrooms are roughly $1,000, our 2 bedrooms are roughly $800, and ones are $550, $580, somewhere thereabouts. I don't have the exact figures in front of me. So that's what we hope to mirror as we go with this development.
Thank you, Council. Yeah, Council Frizzle.
From what I read in the report, I might be jumping ahead, I'm not sure, but you're wanting to put 8 extra units in.
That's the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
that's the
this.
density issue, yes.
Yes, so from what I understand, when you did the first phase, the infrastructure was all put in for the second phase as well. Not necessarily put in, but it's set up.
When you say infrastructure, you're talking about water sewer?
Water sewer.
Yeah, so water sewer is sufficient to meet the demand of this development already. And it was in phase 1, and it currently is in phase 2, and we've been consulting obviously with your staff.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is capacity in both those systems, water sewer, to accommodate this development. Correct.
Councillor Brown.
Is there another unit in the new section for emergency at-risk women or single moms, single dads?
We have in the first unit
Yeah.
a safe home.
Yeah.
And we also have in the first unit what's called second stage housing. And those are both funded by BC Housing. Second stage, safe home is self-explanatory. I think it's crisis, women in need. Stays essentially 1 month, although we have some flexibility around that. Second stage is I've now left safe home, and now I'm going to go into another unit. So that's more longer term, second stage housing. And we, as yet, do not have that in this phase. We're still looking at the demand. What we probably would have demand for is another stage housing unit, which would be funded by, or subsidized at least by BC Housing. But we're not seeing the demand right now for an additional safe home.
Supplemental. Your wait list, you may not know it off the top of your head, is how significant? Like, you say there's quite a wait list. Is it 10 people? Is it 100 people? Is it 500?
More than 10. I'm going to, I don't know if anybody can help me out. I think it's 50.
Sorry. 40 for the bachelor 1 bedrooms, and then probably about 10 for the 2 and nobody.
This is significant.
Very significant wait list. And I'll be candid with you. When we started this initial development in 2016, we started to really explore it. It was difficult for us to establish demand and rates. Because one, there's no data. There's no CMHC data we can go to, like a Kamloops or Kelowna, and say, okay, this is what's called a Hills rate, this is what the average, rents are. And secondly, because there's nobody keeping track of, so for example, BC Housing, I think they have a wait list and they track how many people are on that wait list to get into the seniors housing. There's nothing in existence for us telling us what the demand would be. We kind of looked at anecdotally various, some of the offerings that our society does to say, okay, and we're hearing this from our clients, in various demographics that they're saying, we're looking for housing, we're looking for better housing. And if you remember, the focus on the phase 1 was to really support families and children. And that's why there were more 3-bedroom units and 2-bedroom units. But of course, as we opened it, they were the last to fill, just to be the last to fill for the 3 bedrooms. They are now, and there's a wait list, but there was a significant demand on the 1 bedrooms, right from the get-go.
More supplements? Because, and this is just to throw it out there, but, and I don't want to throw any kinks into all your plans, but because of our power outages that we've been having, it's a lot of condensed people in one space, and there's a lot of rules around what they're allowed to use inside the building. So, is there plans in place for power outages other than one light in the hallway?
Not that I'm aware of right now, but you do bring up a good point. And that may be something we could look at as we get further on down to the HVAC, is a backup power source.
Yes.
Possibility. The other thing to distinguish this project from the other is phase 1 does not have centralized AC. It's a problem, but we wanted it, we asked for it. It was not permitted because of somebody looking at temperature zones and regions of the province, and we weren't allowed to put it in. It was too costly. These units will have AC, centralized AC, which speaks to your question of more demand as well too for power, but there will be AC in these units. We hope there's not going to be a big migration. But we don't think so.
Are there other questions on the DCC application? I think the only question that I might have, and it goes to the market demand, is when BC Housing, are they looking at what market rates are, or are they looking at median income? Because it seems to me that our geographic area, that's a different equation.
And when we did our first proposal for phase 1, we looked at that data, but again, we had to scrounge around to look at databases. Luckily, we had databases internal that we could look at in terms of average incomes. Community Futures had done a study that we utilized. But the BC Housing, once at the income piece aside, the rental stuff, they look at this formula called a Hills rate. And there's no Hills rate for Clearwater or the North Thompson, but there is for Williams Lake, there is for Kamloops. And the last time we looked at that Hills rate, which is a housing index, Jason, can you help me out? Something, anyway, it's a housing index rental rate as to what are medium rents. And they look at that as the average. And then they try to get a lower percentage of that because it's intended to be affordable. The problem we have with BC Housing is we need to convince them that the Hills rate initially that you're using needs to come down. Because a 3-bedroom that could rent in Kamloops downtown is a far cry different rental rate than what people can afford, and that's your second part, is the income piece.
Yeah, and I think Ms. Madden's here, maybe if you wanted to follow up with her at another time, but I think that the TNRD did an excellent assessment of just the demographics.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised at the median income that had been assigned to Clearwater and the North Thompson.
Do you remember the number of the median income?
I felt it was like really around like 35, 40,000.
I was gonna say 40.
Yeah, so it's a great report. Do you know what I'm talking about, Ms. Madden? Okay.
Okay. But if that report exists,
It does.
we need to get that report.
Yeah, yeah. And then maybe this question is for staff. What would the amount be for the DCC being waived? Do we have that?
No, we'll provide that with the adoption of the bylaw. We didn't want to presume that council wanted to go down this path.
Okay.
But there is a bylaw in place that does waive the DCCs now for them. That does apply to this phase as well. But we'll bring that back in the next report with what that dollar amount is.
Okay. And the timeline that you need this by?
As soon as possible.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
as
it
soon as
sounds like
possible.
this report's going to be ready for the 15th of October.
With adoption, it will be there. Yep.
With adoption, it'll be there.
We do not anticipate shovels in the ground until the spring.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly this fall would be, that's our hope, so that you could be able to improve this by then.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
Thank
playing,
you.
live theater.
I was watching Live the Arts people, and they kind of inspired me.
I know, I don't think we've ever had a presentation with so much, theatrics, and, I was ready for the band, so it was a hard act to
I
follow.
brought my harmonicas and board bops. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Johnson, is there anything that's required at this point in time from council? Okay, that's super. So bylaw 177?
Going back to the presentations. Right? Go back to the presentations for transit.
BC Transit. Right. We're going to try again.
Hi, Elise. Can you hear us? You can unmute your mic.
Yeah.
Almost. Almost. We heard something.
I heard something.
If you could sing the birthday song, that would really be helpful to us.
Oh, darn.
Let's regroup for the 15th.
Yeah,
Just trying to figure out what's funny about.
I think that's what we're gonna have to do.
So, can I ask staff to do that, and we will continue on? And please extend our appreciation for her patience. Thank you. Okay, I'll leave that to you. So, Mr. Johnson. So, for the audience and for those who bought a ticket to hear about the BC Transit presentation, I think we're going to delay that until the 15th. So if you do need a refund for any tickets that you purchased, please see the finance officer. Okay, are we, now, Mr. Johnson, I'm going to need some help. Are we on to bylaw 177? We're going to move to one. So I'm going to call back the team.
Well, just first, because then they have to leave again.
You can move that ahead. You can move 10.1 ahead in front of the minutes, and then we can come back to the minutes afterwards.
I know, we'll do the minutes right now. So, minutes of the regular council meeting held September 10th. Any motions? Would somebody like to pass them in this? Councillor Bratton? Motion seconded by Councillor Frizzle. Any discussion? No, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move into development. There's no adoption of minutes of committee meetings unless Ms. Klassen, are we good from last previous? Is this where we're putting this for the committee meetings?
No, we're putting that, it's further on in the bylaw section.
Okay. No, that's fine. It's this passed the baton. I just need clarification, so thank you. So we're gonna move into development and zoning. Great.
So this is bylaw, this is rezoning application RZ 2401, zoning amendment bylaw number 301 2024. This is the rezoning bylaw that the Yellowhead Community Services spoke to council about just a short few minutes ago. This essentially bylaw has come forward because the density that they're proposing doesn't meet the zoning on the site. So therefore, it's increasing the density by a number of units, which will allow the units to be built. The infrastructure components are noted in the application. Our engineer did make comments on page 38 of 70. Talked about the different density and how the existing infrastructure can meet the demands placed on by this application. As council is aware, the DCCs have been asked to be waived as well as the connection charges. So what we'd like to do, council could have adopted these bylaws today at this meeting with that change at the provincial government, because this does meet our OCP, but we wanted to get direction from council to make sure that you were comfortable with not only just waiving the DCCs, but the connection fees as well, when we bring this bylaw back forward for adoption on October 15th. So we'll provide you what the amount is that's also being waived, not just with the DCCs, but the connection fees, because they've asked to waive the water and sewer connection fees as a result of this. And we didn't want to presume that council wanted to do that, so we wanted to make sure that we had some time to bring that back forward to you at the next meeting on October 15th. The TNRD was here to present, but given that it's my turn to dance, that they can't do it, I'm doing my best to give you the introduction of what you're dealing with in front of you here today.
Councillor, are there questions on the report? Councillor Frizzle?
So what's the zoning on it right now?
R3.
And it's going to be zoned for,
Just changing the density component, so it's staying the same zone. It's just increasing the density allowed on the property.
all right, yeah. I just misunderstood. Thank you.
Councillor Bratton?
Is there any precedent of this happening in the past for any other project?
I can't speak to the past about increasing density, but I'm sure that it has happened in the past.
Sorry, I guess that's not what we're working on. Never mind. Yep. Okay.
Under the previous application in phase 1, DCCs and connection charges were waived, so there has been a precedent.
All right.
Should be separate motions, yeah.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Bratton, seconded by Councillor Frizzle.
Is it working now or no?
District of Clearwater bylaw number 301/2024, a bylaw to amend District of Clearwater zoning bylaw number 133, whereas an application number RZ 24-01 for amendment to zoning bylaw number 133 has been made. And whereas the desirable changes in uses of land have been considered, and whereas the zoning amendment conforms to the District of Clearwater official community plan, now therefore, Council of the District of Clearwater in open meeting assembled and acts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as District of Clearwater zoning bylaw number 133, amendment bylaw number 301/2024. All those in favor? Carries.
So,
Yeah.
to the staff. So at the next meeting, they'll come back with the information on the development cost charges, and that'll be fit into this bylaw, whatever we decide.
Yes. No, it won't be in the bylaw itself. Council will be waiving that separately as a separate motion. It won't be part of this bylaw. This bylaw is to amend the zoning only. Those requests are separate over and above what this bylaw does.
Okay, so I'm assuming we're on 8.1, minutes of the regular council
Oh, we
meeting.
did that. We did that.
Did you? Oh, awesome. Hey, thank you. The zoning, you've done that one. Moving on to mayor's report / council report. So I have 2 reports on the table. There's a longer one about UBCM that I'll just leave and it'll be part of the minutes. But I will, if council has any questions, I'll take them, but I'll leave the mayor's report.
Just let's,
Upwards, and she was saying that over 150 people attended for that day. It was well received. And it was nice to see the member of parliament there, as well as Keith Henry, the head of the Métis Federation, and they brought a lot of very interesting conversation. And just on a side note, on the Orange Shirt Day, my film Little Moccasins was screened by the Royal Museum of Saskatchewan. Continually throughout the day, there's film children, and had a pretty massive audience. Want to understand, it was well received, and I've received requests from various schools for copies of the film for their Women Indigenous programs now too, so I'm pretty happy to see that. Pardon?
That's your full report. That's it, you done?
Yeah, I'm done, thanks.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And turn it over to Councillor Sim.
Thanks very much. The disc golf was tremendous. The sim was powerful, as was noted. I attended the Raft River Elementary Truth and Reconciliation Day as well as yesterday. And there was a few things that were from my takeaway, and I think it's also alluded to in the Economic Development Report, is that what maybe could we be doing a bit more? The blanket exercise was a great learning. I think Mayor Blackwell has actually ordered 2 of the Truth and Reconciliation, will be ordering 2 of the Truth and Reconciliation posters. And I think that, you know, as was cited in that room, the best thing that can be done is to keep listening and to keep learning. And that one of the more significant parts of that statement is the truth of Truth and Reconciliation. And so many of the speakers that, you know, just addressed what the teaching in schools used to be, and then you looked around at the poster boards in the room and what schools are now teaching. So we're certainly progressing, but one of the things that we constantly say at the school board as well is that often that the education needs to go home to the dinner table as well, because it was 2 different versions. So however we can maybe incorporate that, and definitely looking at some different measures on how we can acknowledge territories and that. I think that comes with deepening our relationship building for sure. Tomorrow, hopefully it's a warmer day. We've got the Dan Coleman race that is being put on by Raft River Elementary as part of the cross country series. It's a great event. It was one of those ones that might have been stuttered because of COVID, but Liz Shook and her team have done a great job bringing it back. So that's good to hear. Officially, our new position has started in the community, so that's really good news. To the mayor's point about Cindy and her team having great support and being able to build community, I also felt that that room being filled with as many orange t-shirts is also a tribute to this community and being open-minded and wanting to learn and wanting to show support. So thankfully Cindy and her team created a catalyst so that could be shown. Lastly is inquiries in regards to Dunn Lake and some of the conditions about the maintenance on that. And I think that the mayor's has maybe made a comment in the past is, you know, that is a difficult road for a lot of different reasons. And I'm wondering if council would support a motion of staff bringing up, we had reports on that state of that road, being informed about some of the issues around it, and why that is going to be a part of the advocacy. And maybe we can work with some of our partners with it. We are in an election. It's a nice place to be. And if that report could be brought out, could members of the public actually have access to it? Ask some pertinent questions, because that is a huge concern for our citizens. So I don't know how council feels about that. If anybody wanted to make a motion to bring that forward. Mayor, what are your thoughts?
I would like to address that at the next council meeting.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and as I said, I think that the questions we raised were good. There is some more, but it is an advocacy piece that can be raised on that one. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. No CAO report today unless Mr. Johnson has some comments. Moving on to new business, economic development update. I see we have Mr. Mel in the room today. So whenever you're ready, if you'd like, or are you just taking questions today based on your report?
I can do either. I can speak to.
Maybe come up to the podium and just kind of run through it a little bit for this. You've given us the nice short version, but you can add some color to it. You know?
Can everyone hear me here? Great. Thank you very much. I won't speak to every point here, some are self-explanatory. So moving to item 2, the wayfinding audit project, which I think is extremely important for Clearwater in general. I think it's important to the residents, to business, and to tourists. And so it is a go, it's happening. We've got a science design group, and spent a lot of time sort of emailing via Zoom, or actually Google Meets, and Mr. Thompson has come to Clearwater and done a site visit for 2 days. I did with the help of the CO on that, which was wonderful, lots of knowledge there, and we drove him around, answered lots of questions, spoke with businesses, community members, etc. A little survey that we used. I meet again with him on the 9th via Google Meets, and we will have a completed report by the end of October, and there will be lots of actionable items on that report, so hopefully I'm looking for funding for step 2 for that, which is the schematic design, etc. And part of that will be, as we're in this discussion, we'll be incorporating language, simple language, into the signage.
Great idea. Love that.
Number 3, engaging local realtors. I've met with 5 realtors that do a lot of work here locally, and I'm putting them together in a room tomorrow, actually, for lunch at the Wellsbury Inn, and we're going to have conversations about how can we collaborate, how can we make sure we're working together, how can we make sure that the realtors, who are really, in some respects, the first face of many residents, they work with developers and investors to get to Clearwater. I want to make sure that they have all the information that they need, that they understand that it is collaborative, that the district's open to conversation. I want them to have information. So in speaking with Ms. Campbell and CO, put together a wonderful document. I'm going to actually just walk here for a moment to show it to you. I had some information, so I asked them if this was correct and updated to make sure, and they came back with this fabulous binder of information that I can provide to the realtors, that they can then provide to developers, etc., who are interested in. So this is all about planning, stages and steps for applications, etc. It is fabulous. So I'm very thankful for that. That was more than I expected, and that was great. And yeah, so I will meet with the realtors.
You're doing something that I tried to do a couple of years, I could get 1 or 2 in the room at the same time, but definitely not get more than, I could get companies that weren't competing with each other in the room, but getting competing companies, it wasn't happening, but
yeah, and this is all about collaborative information, and I did say that they do get 2 minutes total for the 5 of them to rant. Okay. That's it. And we're good.
And the second one you have, invite me and they can rant to me.
There we go. So we'll get that. That's great. So I'll skip over 4. It's kind of, again, very self-explanatory. If you have any questions, of course, we're going to answer. Workforce development with Thompson Rivers University. I'm working with somebody to see if we can get some courses up here that are really, in speaking with businesses, I've talked to probably 40 different businesses on foot just when I'm here, and what we're talking about is what do they need, what are they looking for, especially these smaller businesses, and so bookkeeping came up as something very important to people, and there was a need, so we're looking into that, as well as some carry-out courses and so on, as with an aging population, that would be really beneficial also. We have some other ideas, but so there are some online programs that we can do, that hopefully we can facilitate, looking at venues for that, perhaps the room in the high school, the TRU room.
Yeah, it's a great asset, that room.
Yeah.
And then I also note that the TRU now has, it's not booked for us for a couple of years, I don't know if it's available to us, but they now have a mobile nursing/care aid training facility like they do for the welding trades and stuff.
Yeah, so we're working with that to see what we can get. I'm hoping we can get something sooner than later. I'm trying to get cost per student as well, so we can see if I can get some funded seats
Oh, cool.
there as well.
We have a childcare service here before, and it was very well attended, we had a lot of students come out of that. That was when we had education, but it would be awesome if we could get that too.
For childcare.
No, for,
Carrie?
Carrie.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll work on that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Economic capacity building, I think is kind of an all-encompassing title, and I'm working with businesses and working with individuals, working with tourists. I went to Helmucken Falls to speak with tourists to see perspective. I thought at this time of the year it was kind of a way that I could engage with tourists. So I went to the Course Info Center as well, but they're very sort of, they were asking questions to staff, etc. I didn't want to interrupt. So I went to the falls, and it was really interesting to hear a perspective from tourists. And it was very interesting, it was also the same time that Frisbee Golf was about to happen, and many of them were there beforehand. And they were, you know, they loved Clearwater. They loved what they were seeing. They want to come back. There was a team, a gentleman who was part of a team of 70-year-old plus.
Oh, wow.
Team. There was a team of 10 of them. Yeah, so it was really interesting. Yeah, and I have lots of plans that I would like to engage in. I'm sort of have to work within the construct of a work plan in terms of funding, but I do have lots of plans. If anyone's interested in chatting about that moving forward also.
Yeah, I would encourage all councilors to take out this available to have a chat with. Are there any questions from council? Go ahead, Councilor Pratt, Councilor Grizzle next.
I was just kind of curious when you're quizzing them and they say they like Clearwater, what do they like about us?
They see the beauty. So what I am getting from almost everybody is, what an absolutely beautiful place. We want to come spend more time here to take advantage of the beauty. And then at that point, you can provide them. So I was thinking, oh, is there a kiosk there somewhere in one of is there a way to establish a kiosk? Again, these are just ideas.
Yes.
But so that when they come, they're thrilled with here, they want to come back, they want to bring family, they want to bring friends. But will they also come and, they're staying in hotels, but will they stay at the cafes? Will they create, how do we create something to get them really into the community?
Councilor Grizzle?
Well, my first comment is, don't ever say Frisbee golf when they're around, because that's a big no-no. That's disc golf.
Disc golf, sorry.
I said that to my nephew, and I got told.
I will make note of that, that's important.
And I did have another one. What is in that book for the realtors?
That's our.
Yeah, so.
Calling it a building and development package.
Yeah.
And I can just read from understanding residential zoning, zoning and OCP bylaws fact sheets, development permit fact sheet. So
all that kind of stuff.
Lots. Yeah. And what I would have asked is if we can have some extras. I have enough for the realtors, plus one for myself, but the realtors can actually hand them out to developers also, and it starts conversation.
Councilor Sim, are you ready to go?
Yeah,
or a QR code.
Councilor McKenzie.
A QR code, that's a great idea too.
So the QR code might be easier of noting how hefty that is. I just wondered if you could specify, in your report you've got, ensure all outstanding grant reports are done. Maybe we can have a summary of what those outstanding grants are. Because you said, I'm waiting to hear about an extension for the 5th and 6th, but it's been a long time, so maybe could we get a refresher on what grants this would include?
So I don't have in front of me the grants that are
Okay.
outstanding at the moment. I can absolutely get those to you, yes, and I hope to have another one closed off.
Yeah, I think just having that
I think
summary.
the wayfinding design one is one that's been
That-
dragging on for a long time, and yeah, I think that's great that you're moving along with that.
The wayfinding, there was a seniors, we cleared up, there was the sportsplex, it was cleared up, there, it was,
Some of
there's
these
one I'm
things,
waiting about playground and, I'm waiting for playground, information about.
yeah, I think some of these are, we've actually been active, they're not ones that have been inactive, we just need to wrap some of them, or.
Correct,
keep
they're
them like-
outstanding, need to be wrapped, yeah, and there is, again, one I've worked with the Director of Finance a bit on
Yeah, cleaning up loose ends.
You said a seniors one, what was that?
I think that was, transit related.
Oh, that was the summer transit
Oh,
one
the
today.
Saturday bus.
Yeah,
Oh, so that just had to be.
Yeah, and this is all before my time,
Yeah.
so I just looked at them to try and grab the information and complete the reports to close them.
Yeah, perfect.
And just a comment, Councilor Kenzie.
I have a few, so
Okay.
you decide how you want to roll.
Yeah, no, just, I'm grateful to see the one on wayfinding, and I really do, usually we want to do things local, but in this case, I wanted an outsider, because we miss so many things that are obvious. Like there is no sign that says Dutch Lake is this way,
Yeah.
and when people see Dutch Lake, they go, wow, but from the highway and things like that, we're just so used to getting places in town without realizing that tourists don't have that. They have Google Earth and they have things like that, but they don't have that same. So if they, go back to Councilor Sim, sorry.
That's okay. I just wondered, so in regards to the workforce development of Thompson Rivers University, have you had a chance to talk to the Trades and Transitions team in Kamloops?
So the trades and so this community capacity building portion of TRU is through trades and technology, so it may be the same department. Are we talking about?
Yeah, I wasn't sure from the report because it sounds like it was a very localized thing, but some of the courses that you've actually referenced in here are actually part of the Trades and Transitions. And so if what the mayor is talking about is if there's a mobile one, how can that be replicated? So I didn't know if you've tied all the pieces together in that sense.
We are trying to work with all of those. So there are some online and there are some mobile, and the trades are mobile, and the carried in nurses, if we can get something like that up here in the mobile capacity as well, that would be fabulous. Because the online, I'm also looking to fund a facilitator for that, because if we have people on the road after hours at a location.
Right, so you've talked to Marie of SD73? Or no, that's just TRU?
Marie is TRU as well as Southern Hamilton.
Okay, and who's your contact of SD73?
I have not contacted.
Okay, and the only reason saying is that would be a great part of the triangulation, because there's been a lot of advocacy that's come from this council as well as the school board. So, as well as the CSS PAC has written several letters, so there's been a lot of movement that might be helpful for that. And then the other one that I've got, and then I'll move to Councilor McKenzie, is just with some of the tourism stuff, where do you see the MRDT and their responsibility with Tourism Wells Gray versus what's under your purview here?
Well, I'd like to say collaboration. That would be my goal, and one of the pieces that I didn't touch on because it's future would be a tourism forum here. There's one happening shortly at 100 Mile, and I'd like to model some of what they're doing in the way that they are creating, working with the tourism organization, working with the district, working with the region to collaborate to create this situation.
A conference area.
Cool, thank you. Go ahead, Councilor McKenzie.
Yeah, thank you for bringing the report in here for us. A couple things that grabbed my attention. First off, Councilor Singh got that with outstanding ground reports. I was just looking to see where we were at with that. Secondly, wayfinding from an outside perspective is definitely beneficial, as was said. But one thing I did notice is with the local realtors, we've had a few stabs at this ECDEP thing with positions and people trying to get ahead of that. I think this is the first time it's ever been, where I've noticed anyways, that you're looking at the light industrial end of things and trying to promote some sort of industry in the town here, sale-wise, whatnot. I don't think that's ever, not that I've seen anyways. So it's just nice to see that, because definitely it's something we need to talk about.
I appreciate that, and again, I feel like the realtors are the ones that end up speaking with whether it's investment, development, residential, et cetera. They are often the face of, it's great for them to have the information, and it's great to have a positive relationship. It's key, and there is lots of opportunity here. So are they also promoting that? So that's what I'm looking for also, as a realtor, especially if you're talking commercial light bistro, et cetera, that you should be removing those areas.
Thank you. I know one more, and just heads up, I ran into and had a good conversation with Terry Lake at UCM. One of the things that was brought up at the senior lunch was the gap between independent housing for seniors and full care housing. And I will have, Terry and I are gonna have another conversation. He's gonna pass some contacts to hit that assisted living potential development, and he's gonna pass me some developers and people that provide that level of housing, because we do need that building in Clearwater. And I think that's another good economic activity or possibility for people, either as private or construction for our government. I will pass it on to you. Go ahead, Councilor Sutton.
And so part of this, if I'm following the plot, is that part of it, of your role, also stemmed from a grant application that was done as a result of a very long and extensive economic development plan. So there was that one, and then there was the SFU. And I wondered if you had drawn from any of either of those reports. They weren't mentioning here, but what were your thoughts on that?
I think the reports were great. I drew more from, the SFU was 2019, I certainly looked through it and absorbed it. I took a lot of my points from here are from the 2020 ACDAB report. And I think there were 209 residents that they spoke to and 70 businesses. And from that, what they thought were important, and I actually have it jotted down here, some of the top rated goals from individuals were job creation, improving household income, growing business investment, and improving quality of life, which I think I tried to really get into this, again, into the projects and the work plan. And then from the buildings, it was, or some of the businesses, it was help existing businesses, attract new residents, and assist new startups, which I can do individually, and that's a difficult, but we have lots of referrals to CFTC, Thompson Country, et cetera. There's lots of ways to refer to that, but that had fabulous information and direction, and I took from the process there. Yes.
Well, no, and that's really nice, because we had so many businesses and we had a community economic development task force on that. So it's the fact that you picked that up and woven it in, I think it's going to really speak well to how people are seeing that. So thank you. And the only thing that I haven't heard is well, you've got the real estate agents. Are you touching base with any of the developers? Because I think there's like new and far, and there's rumors of external, purchasers and that.
100%. So next on my list is to actually include the developers, possibly with realtors. I'd like to continue to meet with the realtors on a quarterly basis, and I think that most of the realtors seem to know the developers, so it's okay to have them all in the same room because they already have established relationships. It's not going to be a fight or that sort of thing. So I would love to. That's on my list of sort of moving forward with what I would like to do.
Oh, that sounds so great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your report.
I have one more question. Because I'm being silly and can't remember, how long is your contract?
6 months, so I'm 3 months in.
Okay. Yeah.
So
It gave you so much
contract is
time.
actually through something slightly different than that which Councillor Sim noticed, but there is, or noted, but there is that is still an outstanding funding opportunities, so we're trying to work with that to move forward.
Mr.
Yeah, we're looking at options. What does that look like moving forward beyond December? Because there has been quite a bit of results that we've seen so far, and would like to carry on with it, because we've seen in the past, when somebody departs, things kind of get put on the corner of people's desk and it doesn't really come off the page. And when we get results, I think it's really important to keep that traction going. And we do that by having consistency and build capacity.
Thank you for your report. Thank you.
Sorry. When you're stating here, fostering partnerships with local service clubs and organizations, and you have mentioned the Chamber of Rotary, but there's lots of others. And how do you envision that work, Judy? And how are you going to bring it together?
I like to meet face to face with as many as I possibly can, whether that be attending meetings or just having coffee, etc. And then we go from there on how we work together. It really depends. It depends on the mission of the club. And, you know, the Trails Association is a little bit different than Rotary, is a little bit different than the Chamber and so on. So based on their missions, how we can all mesh work together. But they're very important pieces of this community.
Yeah, we're trying to fit a 2-year job into 6 months
Yeah.
and throw it all at Ms. Kibble right now. I think everybody has a lot of comments, and I think if you want to have those conversations and add that to the file, I don't know if we can add it to the to-do list, that would be great.
Yeah, and I'll add as well that I am in conversation with Civic Resource Group for development also, and I'm hoping within a year we can get something for.
I just have one more comment. You've worked with Community Futures, I'm sure.
In the past I have.
Okay, so we have a local person here that does that, if you need to collaborate with her.
I believe you already have it.
Okay, sounds good. Oh yeah, you came to me with her.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of collaboration.
Sorry.
And she's going to attend tomorrow as well, to probably just volunteering to take some notes, because if I'm new, I really want to make sure that we don't miss anything. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Before we do the next one, just issues 16.2. Or you do. I get Mr. Johnson to just give an update. Where are we, just to explain for the record, where are between roads contracts and what are we doing for road maintenance issues at this time before we do that next time?
Yeah, so would have liked to have been able to have Mr. Carmichael be able to speak to this, but we're not due to technology, so I have been in communication with him. Mr. Carmichael is aware of the condition of the gravel roads, and we've requested that Borrow Enterprises grade Dunn Lake Road. But there has been problems with the final pothole patching areas. It was delayed due to not having flaggers. So that is something that we're working on. We're certainly aware of, you know, since our last road maintenance contractor departed, some of the roads aren't in great condition. And this is what happens when we've gone a number of months without having that roads maintenance contractor to be able to look after our roads. And this is one of the areas that the contractor provided us with some photos of some of the areas that are in need of work. And we need to know what those are from the members of the public so that we can address them when we get in to the relationship with the roads maintenance contractor to make sure that they're being dealt with. So I encourage members of the public, if there's issues with the roads, report them. So that way we have a list, and then we can have the metrics as to how we've addressed those. I've seen some photos of Dunn Lake Road, and I wouldn't drive my car down that. So I feel partial to the residents that are reporting those sorts of things. So I know that Mr. Carmichael is making requests that we go ahead and do that. That's why it's important that we look at this road maintenance contract and get on with it. And I'll save my comments when we get to that. Sure.
Any quick questions on any of that? Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so now are you going to do a staff report on this, or do we have what's in front of us? We can take questions from council, or questions on this? Unfortunately, Mr. Carmichael actually asked his question, but Mr. Johnson's been here for all of the discussions mostly, so you can make sure you can fill in. So my first question is, there is in the contract, it is stated as or what we're proposing here, is a 3-1-1. Do we need to do that? I mean, I've had their contract before. Is it something, do we not just do it?
We could do a 5, and what I'm going to recommend here is, and this is going to delay it 2 weeks, but I suggest council defer this back to staff. The contractor has put on the table a 5-year contract. With that 5-year contract that isn't 3 + 1 + 1, that there would be a $30,000 savings every year from going to that 5-year contract. So I think what we should do is make sure that you have all of the information in front of you, because right now it's based on what previously you looked at, which is 3 + 1 + 1. at the $800,000. It doesn't have that cost savings that could go as part of it. And I think that council needs to have all that information before you make that decision. So I'd recommend that you send this back. It will just be for 2 weeks. We are going to deal with some of those road maintenance issues that we know that are out there outside of the contract. We've had, because it is a savings to the taxpayer if we go to the 5 years versus the 3 plus the 1 plus 1. But we want to get you all that information, and then I just think that with what you've got in here now, that doesn't provide you with the opportunity to make the decision that you need to make.
Yeah, there's been a lot of moving parts on this. Other questions from council? Yeah.
I'm confused. I thought we already accepted this.
You accepted it, but it was accepted with some misunderstandings. 3 plus 1 plus 1 at the rate that it was before. When we sent the contract to the contractor, they came back and said this wasn't our understanding of what we talked about. So we brought this back forward. I've had a conversation with the road maintenance contractor outside of the meeting where we clarified some of that, but I think that needs to be in a totality of the report for council, because then you'll only be making a decision not on all the information that should be in front of you.
So where does that leave us for the next 2 weeks, as far as road maintenance, if we have a snow event, which is?
Or until the contract.
Yeah, until the contract begins.
We will, and we have the opportunity to contract with folks out in the community for that 2-week period. I'm hoping we don't have any snow.
Yeah.
Having said that, driving in yesterday, it was, and quite frankly, with what we've been through with this contract and where we're at here, I'm sure everybody's feeling just as uncomfortable as I am from where we've been to where we are, and we want to have that relationship moving forward. But I think you need to have all the information in order to make the decision, and I need to get that into you with the report so that we're not doing this on the fly, which is what we're going to do here today.
Yeah, just a couple quick things here. Not really a question to start, but more an observation, because we had said, looking at today's minutes, going back to the original price, and from the August 20th, the original price in here was $729.1 as opposed to $799. And then I found and answered that myself as to why there was that change. Okay, so you had said 30,000 per year savings if we were to do the 5-year contract. Is that what you just said? Okay, perfect. I mean, we all know the performance record of the contractor. So I think it'd be pretty safe to say that even just going ahead to the 5 years, what other particulars do we need, Mr. Johnson, short of knocking 30,000 off the total price? Like, is there any way we can just go ahead, wipe this off our plate? Well, I mean, that's what it's in there as, but if there's anything else coming, I mean, if it's only, I'm just wondering what other fine print's out there. If we just gotta knock 30,000 off the bid price right here, done, $769, and then we carry on, and that's it, or if there's anything else that needs to come in for information regarding that. But for myself, I'm confident that this one for 5 years, we know what to expect, as opposed to a 3 plus 1 plus 1. That's just.
Do you want to speak to that, Mr. Johnson, or?
That's council's purview. If you want to give us that direction, from my perspective, I think it's really important to have the contractor had to say what our roads maintenance person that's been dealing with this from, to have that complete picture. But if council wants to move ahead with it as structured, we can certainly do that.
Councilor Bratton, and then.
I think, and it's nothing to the ability of the contractor or any of that. What keeps popping up to us are things that we didn't know, and I'm kind of tired of that.
100%.
Sorry, I don't know a better way to say that. We've had a lot of fires over the last few weeks, and I think being careful is a good tactic to have, and have everybody aware of what exactly is expected and what I want.
And what I would recommend is that we bring that contract in its totality, so you have that entire contract that we can put out there publicly, so that it's there and we understand what the expectations are.
And we can put out there publicly that road maintenance through one-offs agreements, short-term contracts.
Yeah, the history of the contractor, we've got confidence in the job getting done properly. Got a good track record in communities, involved the community. I'm all good with the 5-year contract with the savings in there. I would like to have a presentation from the contractor about what he's bringing to the table and, you know, maybe speaking a little bit to the increased costs, because we do have to be accountable for the taxpayers. This is a big jump, and I think that we need to hear it and get it out there.
And some of that is on us.
Clear about it.
And some of that is on us to do that, you know, not us as council, but us as an organization, to say what the difference is. You know, we're not apples to apples here. We are now oranges to tangerines to something else in the evolution of this contract. So I think that some of that is on staff, and I think Mr. Johnson wants to speak to that a little bit.
Better as possible. This file itself has been not with the existing contractor, but where we've been, where we are, what we're left with our infrastructure. You know, from an asset management perspective, do we want to be without a road maintenance contractor for as long as we have? Absolutely not. Because we can see what happens, then we've got all this makeup work that comes as a result of it afterwards. What we can do is invite the contractor at the next meeting, as well as Mr. Carmichael, to present it in its totality. And then council will have all of that information to make the decision, and we'll give you what the options are. Right? I just feel like if you're doing it now, we're kind of reacting as opposed to being proactive towards it, but we're prepared to take that direction if you want.
This is my feeling, you know, we're getting some conflicting views from different people saying, well, what happened here, what did we misunderstand? It would be nice to have clarification for all the council members, so when we are talking to members of the public, we know what we're talking about, and we know where we're coming from. And I think it's important to have that input from Mr. Carmichael and from Mr. Barrow. And so there's no miscommunication, it's there, we're all on the same page, and it's done. I am all for the 5-year program or the 5-year contract. I think he will do an excellent job, and I think we just need to move forward on this as quickly as we can.
And I think 2 weeks is reasonable. I look at the back of the thing there and go, Mr. Moore, are you interested in contacting council? I'm seeing the shaking his head. So I think we're all in agreement that this is probably a good idea. So we're just going to table this right now.
Defer, yes.
Okay, defer to the next meeting. Okay, thank you. Yeah. I don't need to move that, just defer.
Perfect. Just so, can I ask one more question? Really fast. If we did have a snow event,
It can be handled.
I know it can be handled, but to what cost to the taxpayer? Like, are we going to cost it?
We've been saving because we haven't had a roads contractor, and then a lot of that will be eaten up with repairs that need to be done. But also, yeah, I mean, we've done that before.
We're negotiating in good faith, and I'm sure Mr. Burrow and his team is looking at us and wants to support us as we move along. And that's the perspective we're taking, right? It's a supportive relationship. I will certainly speak to Mr. Borrow about that.
Okay, cool, thank you. Yes, you can, we do the yo-yo thing, but you can bring Councilor Sim back now. So I actually wasn't here for this bylaw reading. I think I would have to step out again, would I not? Because it's, technically, I think.
Well, it's everything together, right?
Okay, oh, right, it is. Oh, this is for nonprofit tech. Yeah, if you have a copy of the bylaw, I guess I can read that.
Yes.
It's,
So we have 2, right?
Yes.
Because we have to move 1 or 3 here and 1 here.
Okay, thank you.
Here.
Okay, so we're gonna do 2 bylaws, so there is, we're gonna do basically this twice. So we're gonna start with 306 because it comes the lower number. And we'll go on to that. So, recommendation 1, the District of Clearwater permissions tax exemption, not-for-profit bylaw, number 306, 2024, be introduced and read for a first and second time by title only. And this is already gone through in committee of the whole. What is the wish of council on recommendation 1? There's going to be recommendation 3 and 4, which are basically a review list for 3008.
So we're on the not-for-profit?
So we're going to work on bylaw number 306, which is the first of the 2. And we need to do recommendation 1, the District of Clearwater permissive tax exemption not-for-profit bylaw number 306 be introduced and read for a first and second time only. The difference between these 2 bylaws is the rate of,
The term.
change.
The term, one's 3 years and one's 1 year.
It was 3 years,
Okay.
yes. One is, yeah, so we're just split out the one, or to do a 1 year term, yes, go ahead.
And just for process, because although it is a joint bylaw, it does include properties that members have already declared conflict of. How does that work? Because you're technically voting on it and it's included.
Yes.
We voted in the closed meeting, or not in closed, in the
Maybe
committee.
the whole bring forward as a package.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't,
Yeah.
I
I think it's a hair that I don't think we can split.
yeah,
I think we can, and I think that, because this is where it's, like, it was brought forward as a recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
So we could,
Step
I
up.
would have
I
to
think you have to
bring,
step up.
different bylaws for each.
Yeah, for sure.
we would
Yeah.
have to bring a separate bylaw for each one, which I.
No, or the three of us just step up. There's
But
still,
there's only
Maybe
three.
you have-
There's only 3.
We don't.
You don't have a quorum.
Yeah.
Maybe on the
Yeah,
floor
it's
of our
the same thing in the next
CAO.
meeting, so.
No.
I'm gonna say, let's take a 10-minute recess to 4 o'clock and we'll let staff discuss this. Yeah. By title only, and this one is in relation to, everything. So, can I get a moved by Council.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor McKenzie. McKenzie. District of Clearwater bylaw number 308, the bylaw to provide for permission tax exemption for housing, organizations according to section 224 of the city charter for 1 term. Whereas section 224, 28 of the community charter provides for the exemption of any land or improvements that I are owned by charitable, philanthropic, or other non-profit corporations, not-for-profit corporation, and 2, the council considers considers are used for purposes that is directly related to the purposes of the corporation. Now therefore, the Council of District of Clearwater and open meeting acts assembled, and acts as follows. Ooh, I should read these before I do that. This bylaw may be cited as District of Clearwater permissive tax exemption housing bylaw number 308 of 2024. All those in favor? So then recommendation 4 is that it be read over. The third. Moved by Councilor Kennedy, thank you. Seconded by Councilor Bratton. District of Clearwater bylaw number 308, 2024, bylaw provided for permissive tax exemptions from housing organizations in accordance with section 224 of the Community Charter for a 1-year term, whereas section 224(2)A of the Community Charter provides for the exemption of any land or improvements that are owned by or held by a charitable, philanthropic, or other non-corporation. The second part of the council considers are used for a purpose that is directly related to the purposes of the corporation. Now therefore, the Council of the District of Clearwater and open meeting assembles and acts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as District of Clearwater permissive tax exemption housing bylaw number 308, 2024. All those in favor? Okay, and now we need a recommendation, motion to move into in camera. Seconded by.
Second.
Okay, that we close public pursuant to section 91, the community charter, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land, if the council considers disclosure to reasonably be accepted harm the interest of the municipality, and J, information that is prohibited or information that will present within a document will be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Privacy Act. All those in favor?